Okay, we're back in the place. Yep. Big up yourself. We done there. Agent X in the building.
You said episode 4?
Yeah, we believe so. Episode 4. We try to keep count. Episode 4, the draw out, en route to clarity. We're back in the building. This episode is sponsored by Lockdown Haircuts. When lockdown haircuts go wrong, you know what I mean? Big up yourself. You know what I mean? Quad HD Spot, back in the place. You know what I mean? Don't say that and Suda Cream. Big up my sponsors. Do you know what I mean? Today we got a question. The question is street codes. What are the street codes? Is there a street code? Should we live by them? Do we live by them? You know, street codes. Let's talk street codes. What are these street codes?
Like
is there a street code?
It's like when you say on amongst thieves. I don't know. Maybe I heard that from Robin Hood the first time I've heard it. But where did honor amongst thieves and things like that? Where do you think that came about?
I think it's just like with anything, isn't it? You kind of form bands of brothers, isn't it? And you kind of get your own little understanding of what you do and what you don't do. Do you know what I mean? And what's honourable and what isn't. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Now, with thieves, I would imagine, again, where that would have come from is just thieves would have had their own code. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Definitely. How they would have done their thing, what's honourable amongst thieves and what isn't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But again, this goes back to the bigger point that I'd like to make, or not make, but just kind of throw out there into the mix to have the conversation, because that's what we do. And that's another thing as well. It's a quick disclaimer. Do you know what I mean? Nobody professes to be, I don't know what you want to call it, a scholar in any particular field or anything like that. Do you get what I mean? It's all just people's opinions and experience, and it's a debate. It's a conversation. We're just having the discourse of throwing things out there. So just to all the people who may think, you know, why am I even talking about these things? Do you get what I'm saying? Just to throw that out there. But getting back to the point is, when we're talking about street codes, can you actually say there is a street code if you haven't agreed to live by a code with people? So let me give you an example. When they talk about La Cosa Nostra, these are people who have agreed on living by certain codes. Yeah. So if you don't do something, if you've agreed to live by that code and you go outside of it, then they can hold you accountable for that. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But if we're just talking about the streets, like quote unquote the streets, you know, what are these codes, and do we actually live by them?
That's why I say sometimes you have to go back into the initial stage and where the codes came from. Because sometimes I feel like the codes came from being, you know, like people that didn't have, you know, like say for instance like the Crips and the Bloods. They started more of a community based thing to help the community, and then they switched into different to gangs beefing each other. But I think sometimes initially, if we're talking back in those at a certain time, those codes were used to kind of keep people that were just oppressed by the government together. But then I feel like over time, the people that took those codes on to use it for their own benefits changed the way that you're supposed to look at the codes, and then they gave us movies to. Yeah.
I think that's a valid point. I think what. Okay, let's just drop that bit out of it that angle out for 1 second. The only reason why I say that is because let's just deal with what's going on right now. Okay. So if I was on the street right now, what would you say is the street code? Like, for example, would you say, like, you know, just an example, like of street code, like not snitching? No snitching. Okay, that would be the kind of, no snitching. Okay, cool. But loads of people snitch.
Exactly.
In the streets, on the streets, at all different levels.
The majority of people that are on the streets are snitches.
Well, which goes into a broader subject matter, which is what is snitching? What actually is snitching? What do you consider snitching? Do you get what I mean? Because, for example, again, this is what I mean. See, so you get arrested with somebody, yeah? And that person turns evidence on you, you know? They turn on you. They start telling the business, for want of a better word. You know, if you turn around and defend yourself, or talk the business to defend yourself, are you now snitching?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Because no one talks about people getting stitched up as well. Because you know that.
But this is my point, because the street code, as it was, as I know it to be, is you hold your mouth, you don't say nothing, you do your bird. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, whether someone tells on you, someone turns on you, whatever happens, police stitch you up, whatever, you hold your mouth. You don't say nothing. You don't incriminate yourself or anyone else.
Yeah.
That's was supposed to be the street code. That's what is considered no snitching.
Yeah.
You know, a stand-up dude. You're supposed to take it to the grave. You don't talk.
Yeah.
That's was the street code, or that was a street code.
Yeah.
But that's not actually applicable, and we don't apply it to everybody.
100%. What happens when the situation is where someone's actually getting bullied?
You mean in the streets?
Yeah.
What, and they go to basically my point is this, is that,
do you know what I mean?
My point is this, is that you can't try to use back doors or red tape to have exit strategies, or
no, I agree.
do you know what I mean? You can't allow yourself to have back doors so you can get away from using the code when it suits you.
100%.
Is my point.
But people use the code in the wrong way as well. So like I say to you, someone might not be like on the street thing, but he's getting bullied in a way, and if he does call the police, they're going to consider him a snitch, just based on his age group.
Yeah, well, okay. Again, that's why I said snitching is a broader conversation, because if you're a civilian, and you see somebody doing something, so they're not even doing anything to you, but they're doing something in your environment, outside your house, whatever the case may be, something of a criminal nature, and you tell the police, are you snitching?
This is the question.
No, it's not the question.
No, I'm saying some people would consider that. Do you know what I mean?
Right, because they use the word snitch loosely.
That's right.
Do you get what I mean? Now, some people would say, when you say the word snitch, it's not necessarily applied to criminality. You know, you don't have to be a criminal to be a snitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would differ.
Same.
Do you know what I mean? I would differ. I would say when we say the word snitch, at least in England anyway, we are definitely referring to a criminal or somebody with a past history in criminality.
But when you say we, I think you're talking about a generation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that's why I'm highlighting the age groups, because you know, like, it takes you to get to a certain age in life where you even realise this is what a stitch is. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like when you're younger, you
Okay.
them to
it's
make
funny
you believe
because somebody said this to me, and they said, if you find out that, I have to get this right because the way they put it to me was quite interesting. If you find out that your friend, if your friend comes to you and tells you that he's sleeping with your other friend's girlfriend, and you tell the other dude, your other friend, are you snitching?
I've always said that as well. You are. So does the
right?
I just say
right because that goes outside of bro code, right?
That's I was gonna say, but does the word snitching live outside the police station?
Right. So my point is this: is that it's funny because we had this conversation the other day. My point is this: is that snitching is tied to criminality, no matter how you want to go around it.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you get what I mean? Yeah, it is tied to criminality. Now, don't get me wrong. There's different types of rats.
100%.
So that behavior we just spoke about, it would be considered a rat-like behavior. That you're a rat. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. For want of a better word, I use the C word, but do you get what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll see you next Tuesday, but the do you get what I'm saying? I'll see you next Tuesday, but more time, they're rats. So there's all different types of rats. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, we know it to not necessarily be considered an honourable thing when you can't keep a secret, or you tell people's business, or you talk, so there's all sorts of words. Chatty patty.
What's funny about that is that if you don't tell your friend, you're now a rat again.
Yes, because if he ever finds out that you knew and you didn't say nothing,
which rat do you want to be? Sometimes you're gonna have to choose in certain situations which rat you want to be. Because if you found out your friend's girl's doing whatever, and then you don't tell, and it depends on how close you are with that guy and how close you are with the other guy, and you just know that it's happening to him, and you know your brother's doing what, left, right, centre, paying this, paying that, going out his way to look after them, and you don't say nothing.
Yeah, you're all right. You're all right.
See you next
But
Tuesday
then, but then, look at it this way, yeah? This is another thing. So imagine you tell your friend, and your friend goes to his missus, and he starts saying, Jay said.
And that's what
Jay said. See? Is he a snitch?
Yeah, you see? It's where...
Do you see what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have to divulge that information.
He don't.
Do you get what I'm saying?
He don't. So, because he didn't have to.
He's snitching, right?
He is.
Because he could have just gone to her with the information he has and just dealt with the matter. 100%. He didn't have to bring your name into the scenario.
100%. So
do you get what I'm saying?
So
do you see what I mean?
That's a snitch, dude.
Right. Well, it's a rat. Do you see what I mean? It's a rat. And this is the kind, with the snitching thing, this is where I'm at with it anyways. It just makes it a lot easier for me just to have categories so we could just put things in places. So a snitch is involved with criminality. It's attached to criminality. You have to be a criminal to, or have been a criminal to be snitching or to snitch.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Okay. Civilians can't be snitches.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? They're not criminals. Do you get what I mean? But civilians can be rats.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
They can be rats. You can be a rat as a civilian, So that's your curtain twitcher. That's your chatty patty. That's your.
If someone does something, say for instance, a civilian sees someone being attacked, they save old ladies being attacked. The civilian jumps in, does his little citizens arresting. Yeah,
he's a hero.
Do you know what I'm saying?
He's a hero. He's a hero. If a citizen sees you outside, like I said before, doing some kind of criminality and calls the police, that's what they're supposed to do. They're civilians. That's what they do. And so yes, but no, it is considered a rat because it's not your business. See. So just that's why I said there's all different types of.
But like you said, one of them is a hero. You see, like someone's.
No, but you're talking about a valiant act. You're talking about somebody intercepting a crime.
Yeah.
Literally going out there and defending an old woman or whatever. Yeah. That's a valiant act. That's a hero.
Yeah, that's what
I mean. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, no. But what I'm saying, let me just finish.
Oh, you called the police, you're a snitch.
Yeah. No, well, whatever. And this is my point. Those people are semi-literate. Do you get what I mean? Because they don't even understand they just use words. They use one word and it describes millions of things. So yeah, that's not really. But like I said, if you're in your house and you're looking at your window and you see someone who's always walking through the alley and you suspect he might be a drug dealer and you call the police.
That's different.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Well, you say it's different, but if you're a civilian, it's not your business. So there's a section of the community that would look at that as a dishonorable thing. Like, well, why would you do that? It's not your business. He's not. Do you know what I mean? He's not. He's not doing nothing to you.
If it's your alleyway.
But it is your business if you're a civilian because you live there and like you said, you use that alleyway. Your kids might be blah 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 blah. So that's the point, isn't it? You can't call that person a snitch. That person's doing what civilians do.
100%.
Do you get what I mean? So, but the middle ground is this. That's why we was having the conversation about if you tell your friend and blah blah blah. There are some rats who have snitch tendencies.
Yes.
So that's the middle ground we kind of worked out. Big up to the man them, we kind of hashed this one out and got to the middle ground. And the middle ground is because what my friend was saying is that he doesn't feel like see you next Tuesday kind of defines it because it's snitching. Like at its core, they are the same thing. But because criminality is not involved now, we're just going to let you get away with it kind of thing. And just didn't really sit right with him.
No one ever talks about the levels of snitching as well. Yeah, because there's criminals that get arrested for something that they've done themselves. No one was with them.
Yeah.
And then because of the people that they can bring down, the feds give them the offer and they bring down multiple people Yeah. Also, maybe get paid for that. Yeah. And do you know what I'm saying? Big P's, and get let off for whatever their situations are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy never got caught with no one. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he's probably quite well known. There's snitches that are some of the baddest man on their ends. So the people that are around him can't talk to them. Yeah. So they're just getting let off with the worst level of snitching.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I say, snitching is snitching, innit? So snitching is what snitching is.
When it comes to, you see the criminal level, there's so much different levels to it.
But
talking about
sorry, okay, but going back to what I was talking about, not what I was talking about, what we're talking about, which is basically, like I said before, we apply it where we see fit.
Yes.
Do you understand? So depending on who you are, depending on how it goes down, depending on what's going on, depends on whether or not we will apply it to the letter of the law.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So in some scenarios, we apply it to the letter of the law and we're like, no, he's a snitch. Do you get what I mean? And then in other scenarios, we're like, no, I heard about that still, but what are you talking about? Like, and we'll fob it off like, oh, do you get what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say, is there actually a street code? If it's not applicable all the time, then you can't call it a code because everybody doesn't live by it all the time. There's some people who have snitched in some people's eyes, and then other people who are living by the quote unquote same code wouldn't consider what they've done snitching. So are they a snitch or are they not a snitch?
That's true.
Because if it's the code, then we should all be singing off the same hymn sheet, and he should just be looked at as a rat all round across the border within that code, the people who live by it. Mm-hmm. But within the people who live by it, everybody isn't singing off the same hymn sheet. Yeah. Everybody isn't saying that. Some people are literally saying like, no, he's not a snitch. I don't consider him a snitch.
Well, that's the reason. Because you know what, in a lot of cases, you'll notice that people prey on people that are not so street to be the snitches. They'll prey on the weaker person that's they might think is a snitch, or the person that, do you know what I'm saying? That's why people that are the regular guy, your average guy that just lives in an area where crime is happening, so he has to now take on understand street codes himself. Because if he doesn't, like I say, there's many variables I would imagine to how people can get involved in that or whatever the case may be. But I think we're missing the point, like both of us, which is that we don't really have a problem with snitching. Yeah. Do you get it? We don't actually have a problem with snitching. It just depends who you are. And the scenario. It depends who you are in the scenario. I have a problem wrong. It depends who you are in the scenario. Let me give you an example, yeah? I've had a man phone me and tell me they've seen something or whatever the case may be. And I've told the man, like, bro, you got to phone him. Yeah. Just what I'm saying. Phone him now. Yeah. He needs to know. Yeah. And then I've had the exact same scenario and I've told the man, you can't tell him that. Because you knew how you can't tell him that, bruv. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Just lean back, bruv. Don't say nothing. It's not your business. Serious. Stay out of it. Serious. Do you know what I'm saying? Serious. The exact same scenario. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying to you is this, and this is my point. And obviously, we're going back to what we were talking about the ratting and snitching, meaning as in like if you know your, I don't know, mates sleeping with your other mates, missus or whatever the case may be. Do you know what I mean? My point is that depending on, like we said before, what friend you are and how close you are and all these things, well, you just said you have to weigh up all these. Well. I know. Because the reason why it's technical is because, like I said, depending on the scenario and the person and people you're dealing with will always dictate how you deal with that situation. So with that said, we don't apply that across the board all the time to everything and everybody. True. If you're totally honest with yourself. So with that being the case, then we pick and choose. So if you pick and choose, how can you say there's a code? What do you think about rap music? In what sense? Snitching sense. In snitching sense? They're dry snitching all day, every day, on wax, and they're sending it out there. They get it to the whole world. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's like, sometimes things happen and then, like I said earlier, semi-literates get hold of it. And then they start to like kind of misinterpret it. So because they've misinterpreted it, they think
it's a bit like we're back in the day when we used to have slang, and then certain people used to get hold of the slang, but they didn't know where the slang came from, so they didn't know what it actually meant. So they were using it out of context, and we'd laugh when we hear them say certain things. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? This is a bit like that. So, like I say, like they got hold of the whole concept of, oh, this is just an art form. This is just my art, you know. This is just lyrics, like, you know. I'm just rapping. Do you get what I'm saying? So they bought into that because they saw.
But there's
that.
people that's actually they've been brought down on them.
Oh yeah, standard, and there'll be loads more, because, yeah, I mean with them, yeah, they're dry snitching.
Where
obviously.
do you think, you know, like those same people was in the tune, you know what I'm saying? We're getting at a snitch, but telling that whole situation, like word for word to the point where you can actually be prosecuted by it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know, I'm not just discussing
it.
Where,
Yeah,
where is that? Like,
it came from that whole thing came from basically
America.
Not just America. It's a mixture of things. It's not just America, but yeah, I suppose they might want to lay claim to it if they, you know what I mean, if they choose. But like I say, it's a mixture of things, because again, you'd see that in the Caribbean, certain places, you'd see that even here. Do you get what I mean? So it's a mentality which, like I think I said this before, when you do badness, then you have to be a class leader. And once you're there, then it's all about upping the ante. Do you get what I mean? So, you know, it's the same with the lyrics. Do you get what I mean? If a man says he's got a gun, you got to say you got 2 guns. You know what I'm saying? Then you got to get creative with the gun. I ain't got just you know what I mean? I ain't got this. I got a trailer load of gun, or I got a house full of gun. You know what I'm saying? Once a man says that, then you got to say I got a whirl of gun. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know, you get what I'm saying? It's the same with the badness. The man says I shoot a man, right? You say, I shot 10 man. You get what I'm saying? Shot 10 man. All right, cool. Well, you know what? I shot 10 man, but I shot the policeman as well. You get what I'm saying? Oh, you shot the policeman. You know what? I shot them in front of the station. Do you get what I'm saying? No, do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just up in the ante, isn't it? Do you get what I'm saying? You know,
yes, it is.
You know, we come to your mum's house. We came to the funeral. Do you get what I'm like? It's just constantly trying to up the ante. That's all it is. Do you know what I mean? Because remember, you have to be a class leader in the badness. So you have to be wickeder than the wickedest thing that ever walked the planet. Do you get what I'm saying? So that is where it comes from. So obviously it's reflected in the lyrics. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
It's reflected in the lyrics, and then once you start saying it, you got to do it.
But it's like, where did they give themselves permission? You know, everyone's saying don't snitch it, so snitches mean don't speak, innit? So how did that change when it came to putting it to music?
Like I said, with the whole NWA thing and all the rest of it, blah blah blah, when they had to find a get out clause, and the get out clause was it's just lyrics. You know, you've got rock and roll stars or whatever, heavy metal and acts and whatever, talking about killing and Satan and rah rah rah. It's just lyrics. It's just entertainment. It's just music. You know, and that was the get out clause. Do you get what I mean? To make all kind of crazy songs and whatever. You know, that was the get out clause. So do you know what I mean? And it worked for a while until the streets really did get in the music. And then once the streets really did get in the music, now you've got people like I say, you've got not gangster rap, you've got gangsters rapping. Do you get what I mean? You've got guys who ain't even, they got no vocabulary, they got nothing, there's no creativity. It's literally like, the guy's just literally saying like, shut 5 niggas in the head. Do you get what I'm saying? And that is that's the metaphor, like that's the lyric, that is it. Do you get what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
And it's like they almost allow those things to be successful, to push more people to do that. Because really and truly, when we're looking at it, look how many of these rappers have died in the last 10 years. Look how much, you know, like, so it's like, as soon as they got them signed as well, they died. It's like they got their
yeah, but you have to remember, but you have to remember though, right? It's like a conveyor belt. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? It's like, if you've got kids who grow up thinking this is what I have to do, this is who I have to be anything, to have anything, to do anything, this is how it works. So they get straight away trapped in the mindset of this is me, this is what I'm supposed to be. And then you start doing it, and then maybe you start rapping, you get a little promotion, then next thing you know, you're famous, you're rich. But remember, you've literally come from the streets. Like yesterday, you was on the corner. So at that point, when you're making all this money, because remember, it's not like before where you had to go to maybe New York if you was in Chicago, try and get a record deal with it. No, you can just put a couple of hood videos out. Next thing you know, you got however many million views, and you're famous and you're rich. Do you get what I mean? So it's a lot different for them, and it's hard, I suppose, in that sense. But the mentality is still, once you get to a certain stage and you're in the business, why would you want to go away from where you are? That's a sign of weakness. If I make the money and I run away, see, so this is what I'm saying, self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you made money and you went to a better area, then that would be somehow selling out. These are the narratives that we grow up with. So you can't leave because you don't want to be a sellout.
You know?
I'm doing this for the block. I'm doing this for the corner. You get what I'm saying? I'm doing this for my niggas. Do you get what I'm saying? So then when he comes back, do you get what I mean? And he's living there with all his gold chains and all his millions and all his everything else, and he's on the same corner, probably, you know, funding the man them, doing the same things they was always doing. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? Do you get what I mean? And that goes back to something I said before, which is people make out like the problem is just money. Like, you know, like poverty and, you know, lack of opportunity. That's the problem. That's why it is. Well, clearly it isn't just that. It can't be just that. Do you get what I mean? The mindset and the culture has a lot to do with it. It has a lot. It plays a massive part in how you think. Do you get what I mean? You know what I mean? Because the mentality comes before all of that. Do you get what I mean? How you're thinking, your outlook on something, kind of determines how you approach everything. Do you get what I mean?
A lot of how things are promoted as well, because you've got a lot of snitches saying fuck snitches. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, and the more someone.
Do you know what? Since you got a bit of a bee in your bonnet about this snitching thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit you from another angle. Then,
yeah, let's go.
How many people do you know? And by the way, I'm not talking about anybody in particular because I know people are going to cover me. Because as soon as I say this, everybody is going to think of their own person. Does that make sense? So you're all going to think of somebody you know.
Like,
do you get what I mean? But because I'm going to say it, people are going to assume I'm talking about loads of different people that I may or may not know.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. I'm just giving people examples of what I'm saying, yeah? How many people do you know who may have done something that we would consider, if we was, like I said, by the letter of the law, who we would consider to have done something that we would consider snitching when we were kids? Kids meaning 14, but maybe even younger. Let's say anywhere from, let's say 12 to 18. Yeah. Did something we would consider to be snitching. Yeah. At that age when they would be considered a minor. Yeah. But we were all getting arrested, by the way, and we all knew not to say nothing. Yeah. But they somehow didn't. Yeah. And are now out and about, bad man, wicked man, killer. Yeah. And nobody says anything.
There you go. That's what I was saying earlier. People don't say there's a lot, like 80% to 90% of snitches are from the street, even just from the ethic of you having to be on the street.
Oh, I was just about to say, there
are some people that low on the work and they go out there.
Yeah. There's a couple of moles, there's a couple of plants out here. There's a couple of plants out here, But other than them, generally speaking, you would have to have information to give information. And those people are usually, attached to some kind of criminality. That's standard,
But there's some people that go out there and do a mad move one time. And,
there's lower level snitches, just like drug addicts and, things like that. Yeah, obviously. But generally speaking, the juicy information that the police need, you would be getting from somebody who's connected to some form of criminality. Yeah, definitely. They wouldn't even
give it offer to someone that they know it hasn't got that connection. They probably give him just his time.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Certain people can just, because you never know who knows what. You know what I mean? Some people just by way of just being around know a lot of shit. You get what I'm saying? But when it comes to it's like snitching and all of that stuff.
But if people are scared of someone, they won't say nothing either.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously, if you got a gun, that helps. If you're hench, that helps. Do you know what I mean? Not many people want to take a punch in the face. You know what I mean? Let's just be real. Do you know what I mean? So, all that stuff helps. All that stuff helps. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, if you, like we say, if you do your thing and you snitch, then it's like, well, he does his thing, but no one's nice. Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things people don't understand. Like an average man getting stabbed and things like that. even if he was having a fight, and it turns into him getting stabbed. Because there's people that will be in a pub that will have a fight with you, or not just in a pub, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll be out there, they'll be ready to have a fight with you, but they didn't think no one was going to bring out no tools.
Yeah.
And then someone brings out tools, stabs the person, now it's a whole other case. Now whoever's was in that fight is looked at as a gang.
Oh, yeah.
And now some of these people are not like that at all. So now they're in the station talking because they're just not from the life. Because again, if you're not from the life, you don't know, those things don't come automatically. Unless you're in a situation where you think something's going to happen to you if you don't.
But again, I don't necessarily think if you're in the life, because like I said, when we was kids getting arrested, we weren't in the life, so to speak, at that stage. But we all knew you don't say anything.
But where we grew up, it was of our environment.
Yeah.
You know, like youths that grew up in Muswell Hill, that play rugby, still go down to Camden to have a night out.
Yeah, definitely.
And the same people from the streets go to Camden to have a night out. So now they're meeting, and this guy's drunk, they have a fight, and then it's turned into something totally different. But then maybe the rugby guys overpowered the street guys. No, it's still going to look like depending on their colour as well, it's going to be different. Because there could still be black guys that come from well-to-do families, but they still would look like a gang. So now he has to answer why you got stabbed. Are you part of the gang? You know, like the things that people don't see that happens behind the scenes. I've seen people get in these situations, and now the police are inquiring because he doesn't know no names. Yeah, they're now inquiring into him, who he is. You know what I'm saying? Never been involved in anything like that before. But
you see, the thing is, like I said, when it comes to street codes, what you'll find is they're not applicable across the board. So if that's the case, then I still maintain my position, which is unless you have agreed. So basically what I'm saying is if me, you and Mac decide, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to burgle houses. This is how we're going to burgle them. If we get caught, this is the code. This is what we do. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. If the police come, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You know.
But that's depending on your age again. You're having an agreement with men. If you're having an agreement with boys.
No, but what I'm saying is, the reason why I say that is because if we do that, then we have a code. Yeah. Because we've agreed upon something. Yeah. But if me, you and Mac start burgling houses and we get nicked, are you then just assuming that Mac is not going to say nothing when he gets arrested?
Yeah, probably going to.
And why would you do that? This is the point I'm getting to.
For my own convenience. For convenience.
You would just assume he's not going to say nothing.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's for my convenience, but the truth is it's for my convenience. Like when sometimes you just trust people for whatever that moment because you need to do something.
Right, but what I'm saying is isn't part of the reason why you're trusting him the fact that you would believe that he would live by a certain code at that moment, which is don't say nothing to the police. We don't talk to police.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd have that in part of it.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why at that moment you think, if I had to go with say what I know and don't say anything, I'm going to go with don't say anything. Yeah. Because I'm kind of half hoping or trusting that he's not going to say anything. Yeah. And part of that premise is based on the fact that we don't talk to police. Yeah. That's a half like code you think is kind of just.
But when you say I would have had to grow out with him.
No, that's why I didn't do the whole growing up thing. That's what I just said. If we just started going out there, because that's my point. Call me naive, but if I was to do anything with certain people, like I'm not talking about now. Obviously, I'm talking about as a child, just growing up. We was going to do anything. I would just assume they're not going to say anything. Do you get what I mean? And I'm sure half of these kids who are running around now. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. With big zombie killer knives down to their ankles. I'm sure they're not thinking to themselves when they go out on this drill or this ride or this slide and they're gonna glide on, man. When they're doing all this stuff, I'm sure the other two men in the car are not thinking my man with the ting is gonna get shift and start talking. And I'm sure they didn't actually have a conversation to say, yeah, this is what we do, and you don't do this, and you don't do.
That's what I'm saying. That's what everything on the streets. Every thought on the streets is based on convenience. That's the truth. It's like because I want it to work, because I want this to happen. There's no logic behind it. It's based on convenient, like it being convenient. You know what I mean? Like,
like at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
If you're not that hungry and someone's cooking food and you don't really know and you don't really trust their hand. you would be like, no, I'm alright.
Yeah.
But if you're hungry, you might be like, boy, right now, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I would say no.
Yeah, you know what I'm
I
saying?
would say no.
And that's,
Hope I don't get food poisoning.
you know what I'm saying? And that's not even like the size of their weapons shows the size of their fear. So it also means that that's the guy that's gonna snitch. Whereas a lot of people don't think that, like, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
They're looking at like,
again, like I said, you made a great point, which is the convenient side of it, isn't it? We just want it to work. We just want it to happen. We just want it to all go the way we want it to go. So we don't care about all of that until it goes wrong, and then we're like, oh man, you know what? I should have seen that coming.
No, and then you start talking about how much you saw it.
No, I should have seen it coming. Do you know what the worst thing is? Sorry. We always go left anyway, but I'm gonna go left, bruv. Do you know what the worst thing is? Every man who gets shift can tell you exactly why he shouldn't have got shift.
Yeah.
No, but I mean to the T. He'll tell you everything. Yeah, I shouldn't have took that left. When I threw it out the window, they were... Dude. But how do you know all... You know everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm talking about from the time... Before you even get to the police cell, you already know. You're like, oh, man, like...
Why did I take that left?
Like, dude...
And it's part of that same thinking.
Man.
It's hard to actually put street thinking down to a logic. So when it comes
there's
to
no logic. There's no logic.
Codes,
no, and see, this is why I love it, because we always get to the point in the end, which is the point. There ain't no street code. Unless you have sat down with people and agreed upon something, there is no code. And the roads is nasty. Yeah, no one cares about you, brother. So when they get in a situation, they're gonna do whatever suits their narrative at that time. Do you get what I'm saying? You know?
How did you become? Because for you to take on a charge, you have to be a solid person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to be quite a solid
So you
person.
get
So yeah, for you. So if you're the same guy that doesn't mind robbing and killing people.
Did you get that on camera, Mac? Did you get that? Yeah. Nice one.
You know what I mean? If you're the kind of guy that doesn't mind robbing and killing people, snitching is nothing for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Why would you care about snitching? Like, if you don't care about taking a man's life or doing certain things, like, why would you care about snitching?
Well, it's weird because, okay, like for example, street codes. Yeah, I'm gonna take it away from the snitching just for a second, only because think about. They make it seem as if, like, you know, your enemy's your enemy for life. And, you know, if you see your enemy or whatever, you know, these are the things that people try and make you feel like, you know, if you're not active out here, if you're not, you know, if your enemy's there and you ain't literally trying to kill him at every opportunity, there's something wrong with you. Do you get what I'm saying? But how many people do we know that are cool in jail?
Yeah, because that's it.
Man's in jail. No one's trying to kill everybody.
Man, they're still beefing on the road.
Oh, no. When we get out, we're out, innit? And half of that is the pressure we've got from the man them around us. We're back on the roads. We got to do and we got to look like we're about this thing. But the long and the short of it is man's in jail. Bless.
No, fine.
Bless. Did you get what I'm saying?
100%.
You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's the odd fisticuffs on a visit, or do you know what I'm saying?
If that was in the first place, it'd have been all right.
You're not hearing. Do you get what I'm saying? You're not hearing what you would think you'd be hearing from what you hear when people are on the road.
100%.
Right. Okay. So with that said, like I said, the street code. Do you know what I mean? The kids, because I hear kids talking about this stuff. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's an actual thing that they need to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Living. Oh, you don't understand. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they got some kind of code out here. It's like, bro. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for snitching. I'm not advocating for criminality. I'm not telling people to go and do this or don't do it like this. I'm not telling you to go jail and hold your mouth. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you anything. All I'm saying is just think about what the fuck it is you're even talking about. 100%. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when you're talking about this code, where, which one?
Exactly.
Where? Who?
And the youngers are smart. Youngers will say, "You're a big man."
But to be fair, they'll say that to anything, but they'll say that to anything,
No,
they'll say that to anything,
when you're trying to do too much street code shit, and even if you're talking with the youngers about street codes, they'll be like, "What's this big man talking about?"
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is they say that to anything. Literally, that's just like a reflex for them.
No,
their 4-year-old sister could come in the room and ask them for some milk, and they'll say, "You're a big man." It's like, do you know what I'm saying? So, what are you talking about?
But
It's mental.
Do you believe even someone should be even following street codes past a certain age? Like, should they even be in the streets? Basically, what I'm saying.
Again, if you live in a life of crime, whatever your age, and you have a code, then yeah, you should live by it, and you should be held accountable to it.
100%, I agree on that.
But if you ain't,
But can I rate you if you're still living on the streets and the street codes? Like,
no. Look, okay. You're going to listen. Can you rate somebody of a certain age if they're still living by street codes? That would depend on their life. You can't judge
but
everybody.
there are great things that come from street codes. Let me say that. Away from the bullshit that comes from street codes, there are some good things that come from street codes.
There is some positives that could come from it, or there is some things you could see as positives that you could take from it. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
There are some transferable skills, but ultimately, it's long. Do you get what I'm saying? And anybody with half a brain will tell you that. Do you get what I mean? It's long.
Really, truly, it's the poverty code.
But again, like I say, I don't think it's so much poverty.
I do, because if you're living in amongst rich people,
Mm-hmm.
you're the only rich one. You're living amongst rich people. A lot of the codes of the street codes, you're not even close to them, because you haven't needed to. Like you're literally ran by your family. When you come up in the poverty area, you're not just ran by your family. You're ran by the environment a bit more.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that definitely. Like we said, it did come. I suppose it goes hand in hand with poverty in a way, because obviously it does come out of it. Do you get what I'm saying? The criminality and those criminal cultures, they do come out of impoverished communities. So we can't really negate that fact. Do you get what I mean?
Having to link up with people, it was due to the poverty.
Yeah, and then obviously keeping certain things in order. You needed the codes to keep things in house. So blah blah blah. So
honor amongst thieves and
that's where all them things come from.
Yeah.
But that's why I fast forwarded when we was onto that. Even when you were talking about the Crips and the Bloods and that, and that's why I said I fast forwarded to now, because when you look at where we are now, none of those things are really relevant anymore. Do you get what I mean? So you may have people who are trying to hold on to them. There may even be people who are still living by them. Yeah. But you're the only person who is. Do you get what I mean? Everybody else will pick and choose when they want to apply certain things.
Definitely.
And when those things are applicable. And in doing so, that negates having a code in the first place. You can't now say you're living by a code that your 3 man in your clique don't agree on. Again, like I said, if there's 4 man in a room and we say, did my man snitch, we should all say yes or no, because we're all living by the same code. But if we can say, did my man snitch, and 2 man in the room are saying, boy, I don't really think he snitched still, and then another man saying, nah, he's a snitch, and then the next man saying, boy, I don't know, that doesn't make sense, because we're all living by the code, right? So this is what I mean. It's depending on who it is, depends on the scenario. Do you know what I mean? And I think we spent a long time on snitching, so do you know what I'm saying?
But you know what? When it comes to codes, street codes, that's probably the only thing that is the street code. Like anything else is like, alright, cool. When it comes to helping people's families, to say if someone did take the rap and the guy's in jail now, how much people actually live up to that part? Helping the person and helping their family whilst the person's take the rap for everyone.
Yeah, but I would consider that to be a code.
It is a code.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I'm saying. I would consider that to be a code. But how many people do it? Minimal, if any.
Very minimal.
If any.
And it's like something that's not discussed. And that's also around whoever.
I think it is discussed, but between the people who you're still cool with when you get out.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about for people, the younger generation, to understand that.
Oh, you mean yeah.
Before they even get there. You know that some of these people ain't gonna help you when you're in these situations.
Majority of them.
Furthermore, if you need a tenner while you're out, forget riding out. Just ask him to borrow a tenner and see how your brethren act.
Well, you see, the thing about it is as well. This is the thing, is that the streets don't love nobody. You know? Do you get what I mean? Like, people want to be in love with the streets, but the streets don't love you. Do you get what I mean? So it's all right when you're out there, because again, like I say, when you don't have much, or or you're missing something, or you want to belong to something, or whatever the case may be, it seems like the greatest thing in the world. Do you get what I mean? Especially if you ain't never had no life experiences, or you ain't come from certain backgrounds, or you ain't had both your parents. There's so many variables. But the point is, if you're out there and you're doing it, it feels like the greatest thing in the world at that time. Do you get what I mean?
What else do you consider street codes?
What else would I consider street codes?
Yeah.
There's loads, isn't there? I'm just thinking of one that's...
That's it. The code of the
Okay.
Stay silent.
Okay, no. For example, friends and family. Do you know what I mean? Friends and family meaning your people's friends and family, they're off bounds.
100%.
They're out of bounds. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Women and children.
they're out of bounds. Do you get what I'm
That's what I
saying?
said, old school codes.
Do you get what I mean?
How many people
You know?
are following that now?
Yeah.
So,
Just like I said, just like the whole running up on a funeral, or you know what I'm saying, running up on a man's mum's house or something. Like,
there was
all them things are just crazy. But don't get me wrong. It's not to say those things cannot happen and don't happen. But there's reason. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's levels to everything. Basically, is the point. Do you know what I mean? But those things weren't something that just happened willy nilly. You know what I'm saying? You didn't just go to a man's mum's house because he owed you a tenner. Do you get what I'm saying? It was just not like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? But again, like I say, you know, it's so bad that back in the day when certain things happened, you kind of half knew the person done something because of what happened to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You heard something happen to somebody and you're like, wonder what he done.
In no way,
Like, literally.
in no
Do you get what I
way to-
mean?
No way to glorify it, but those are the days where you could have a man that you could call, not like that, but like a well, let's say quote unquote bad man, and he had done a few things. Whereas in this day and time, like when these random acts that these youths are doing, they're just going jail straight away for life. It's not even like, oh, that guy got. We don't. Even
I shouldn't laugh, you know. I'm Do you know why I'm laughing? Do you know why I'm laughing? Yeah, because it's so normal now. Like, people have normalized this thing. Like, I can't even explain. It's like fashion. Do you get what I mean? It's like fashion. Do you know what I mean? So, like I say, the youths, they just look at it like, if you ain't part of this thing, if you ain't, do you know what I'm saying? You're not doing nothing, man. What are you doing if you ain't doing that? That is the thing. Do you know what I mean? And even the people who are not on that, they promote it in their own way. Do you get what I mean? They promote it in their own way. Their own little, like I say, semi-literate, kind of ignorant. Do you know what I mean? Like,
is it fair to say there's less poverty in the street, in terms of the gangs now? Because
I would
jackets are hella expensive.
I would argue that although a lot of them don't come from the best situations, when you say poverty, I would argue that they don't come from poverty.
Do you understand?
They may be disenfranchised, they may have less opportunities, but to say that they come from poverty, I would argue
it's different.
I would argue they don't.
Opportunities.
Do you get what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? That things are in place, and the way this.
It's not just that. It's just, you just don't come from poverty. Let's just have that right. You do not come from poverty. You may have had it hard. You may not have been able to get the Jordans when your friends got them and all that stuff. I get it. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have a PlayStation 4 when it came out. I get it. Do you get what I mean?
So
you know,
like street codes,
but you're not. You didn't come from poverty.
Street codes live more in the places where the gangs actually exist. Like when we talk about like somewhere like LA, yeah. LA is a very gang culture place. Like it's probably where gang culture started in how we know it in terms of like the structure. Yeah. And like because it's so old there, and it was actually they when they was gangbanging, they understood their way. They understood their culture of gangbanging. It sounds funny to say, innit? But because they did, there was respect levels. So you've got people like Big U in LA and things like that. You know, like where the ones underneath him respect him, and the ones, you know what I'm saying, where I'm not saying that it's, I can't, whether I'm glorifying it or not, I'm just trying to understand. When I watch things, I just try to understand the culture. I don't try to judge anything. You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like where there's places where even if we talk about somewhere like Brazil, where it's actually really going on, is where they have structure within the gang culture and organized crime.
They try to keep some kind of structure.
You know what I mean,
definitely. They try to keep some kind of structure. Yeah, because you have to. At some stage. Yeah.
But because it was real gang culture, they had to keep some sort of structure.
Yeah.
Where there's places where the gang culture is very loose. If you understand, it's gang culture. There's real gang culture, but in terms of the it's just copies of what people have seen over the years. People trying to
definitely
music be influencing them,
and I think as well with the when it comes to like street culture, especially like in England, people, it's a mishmash of different things.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's a mishmash of different things. So you've got like just the what we call working class kind of English post-war mentality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people kind of associate it with the East End, like that kind of East Endy kind of mentality. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, then you've also got like the real criminal element.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is like we said, all the real street code, like no snitching, this one, that one, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then you've also got like the Caribbean influence.
Definitely.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
You know, so it's a mishmash of a whole load of stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? You know,
that's what I think makes it what it is. If you understand what I'm saying here.
Yeah, but what it also does.
Turks, we've got.
Yeah, but what it also does is mean that everybody can play for self, which goes back to my point. So we are not all singing off the same hymn sheet.
No.
What one man would consider to be okay may not be. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%.
You know?
But even to get in a gang in this country, more time there's no initiation.
No, there's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like some people just make gangs off for the sake of making gangs.
Yeah, I mean, and even the
make
gang
music
thing,
videos.
even the gang thing. Like when you really break down the gang thing in this country, like it's just what it's always been, isn't it? It's a group of friends from a specific area. Do you get what I mean? Who get together with some like-minded people. Do you know what I mean? And then before they know it, they've got a name, and you ride out under that name or that color or that whatever the case may be, because you're all doing what you're doing anyway. And you've linked up and you know each other, you grew up, you whatever, or you're all from that estate or whatever the case may be. Do you get what I mean? So when we say gang, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I suppose it's the same all over the world, but when we say gang here, it's like, I think, like you said, it's more of not a copycat thing, but it's like, it gets to a stage where you get glorified, and then it's almost like you just say, okay, well, we might as well be that, or we might as well be something. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? I remember, this is going back years, yeah, there was a group of people who ran down, I think it was from like Stoke Newton or Stamford Hill down to like Tottenham High Road or whatever, and like running all the shops, like just looting and whatever. And they called them the Tottenham Raiders. So obviously, lo and behold, from that, you think, okay, Tottenham Raiders. Do you get what I mean? You know, because that's what happens. Sometimes it's like people get named or things get placed upon you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Or
it's
things
fun.
kind of, because for example, like we say, like when you talk about like a lot of people who would be considered bad guys kind of got created.
Yes. It's
Do you know what I mean?
Every circle has a bad guy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, a lot of the guys who ended up being the name brand bad guys
Yeah.
wouldn't have been considered bad guys when you were coming up.
100%.
Do you understand what I'm
100%.
saying? There's 5 other guys you would have said that were more bad guy. Naturally, like inclined to be that way than them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They kind of became that guy,
that's
and again, it wasn't like design or creation. Obviously, you got a few who like they wanted to be that guy. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I know a lot of people who I wouldn't say they didn't want to be that guy, but it kind of happened as opposed to them trying to be anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So that happens a lot.
Like, you might go out the country or you'll be in somewhere, like at the ends,
Mm.
and it might be your cousin that that's just he's a good guy. He doesn't none of life, but you notice in his group there's the bad guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the world, that's the baddest man.
Yeah.
They don't know, they don't know what another man would know to compare it to. You go down to Newquay, there's a bad man down there, that?
Yeah, definitely.
But when he sees this guy from London, he's shook, begging it
Which
with you.
sorry, you know what, you touched on another point, but I was going to save that for another show, but you touched on another point, like, what is hard?
Yeah.
Like, what is hard? Like, what do you consider to be hard? It's like when they say, oh, he's real. What are you talking about? Like, I know guys who work for Royal Mail.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're hard, bruv.
Yeah.
Like, they're hard.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what I would consider to be hard. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they are guys you would not want to see them anywhere. Do you get what I'm saying?
I would also
But they're not out here chucking any kind of badness. They're the nicest people you'd ever know.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
And to answer the question, what is hard is to do what the majority is to go against what the majority are doing. So like, you know, like say for instance, the guy that looks the least hard, like in the community when you're growing up, when you're older, you might now consider that guy you actually was one of the hardest out of us.
Yeah.
Because you went and did do. I'm not just saying university makes you harder or anything makes you better, but you just consciously made certain decisions for yourself, even though you were surrounded.
Yeah, exactly.
So much of,
exactly.
To me, when I look back at things, I look at that as that's hard.
Yeah,
Because the majority is doing this.
And like you said, it's a mentality. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a mentality. It's not a physical thing.
No,
do you get what I'm saying?
100%.
You know, it's not like a big guy or whatever. Not to say that there isn't big guys who are. I'm just saying it's not. It's a mentality.
But if someone can beat someone up, that's not necessarily hard because someone else can do that to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just more like
it's a mentality. It's a mentality. Do you know what I mean?
It's a mental.
Yeah, I know loads of people who went around beating people up, and I wouldn't consider them hard.
Do you understand?
Do you get what I'm saying?
Same.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
but it's that was the point. It is definitely a mentality. It's not just. But a lot of people assume that there's something you can do that would then make you hard. Do you get what I mean? Like, for example, like, I wouldn't consider Floyd Mayweather hard. Yeah. But if you're his weight and you get in a ring with him, he'll probably punch your face in for 12 rounds. Yeah. do you understand? But I don't consider him to be hard.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Nice and hard sort of thing.
No, just hard generally. I just don't consider him to be hard. Do you get what I'm saying? But, like I say, if you're his weight and you get in the ring with him, he'll probably punch your face off for 12 rounds. But outside the ring, do you get what I mean? He's just a 11 stone, 12 stone dude or whatever. Do you get what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, like I say, I don't think there's anything you do that makes you. Oh, by the way, not to say that there isn't hard guys in boxing, like you said, the Tyson example. Do you get what I mean? So, like I said, it doesn't mean there isn't hard guys in boxing. I'm just saying that doing boxing doesn't make you hard. Because I know some hard guys on the ends, and you'll be talking to them about your boxing, and they'll tell you to shut the fuck up. Because you're irritating them. Yeah. And they actually punch people in the face. So they don't want to hear about no boxing. Because you're an idiot. Do you get what I'm saying? And you're annoying me now. Because I'm hard. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're actually irritating me talking about this boxing thing. Because I know you and you're not hard. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, all right, respect, you do boxing. But like, you're winding me up now. Stop talking about this box. Do you get what I'm like, sickos. Do you get what I'm saying? I know guys who are actually tapped. Do you get what I'm saying? So again, like I say, like, when I see certain people trying to attribute these characteristics to certain people, I just think like, oh, like, what do you consider that to be? Because I just consider it to be a mentality, as opposed to, oh, he looks like this, or he looks like that, or he's got 20 tattoos on his face, or do you get what I mean? Like, I don't. Do you get what I mean? I don't. I don't attribute it to an image. I don't attribute it to a physical look. I don't attribute it to anything.
The image is such a big thing. They invest in their hardness.
Why are you investing in hardness? Would be my question.
You know what I'm saying?
Why would you even invest in being hard? Fair. It would be my question.
Fair. Because obviously Jafu being a music video.
Oh yeah.
I've realised that a lot of people create these characters, you know what I'm saying? Not naming, you know what I mean, whatever. But I'm saying that a lot of people create characters to secure themselves. So there's the character is the security. You know what I'm saying? So now
I get that.
I bet you could have conversation with man and their face is just normal, like yeah.
Well, bub, listen. You're talking about cameras. At least there's a camera, bruv. I see man just generally, like, I'll be going to the shop or something. I'll come out, I'll see a guy, see the hey, what's up, man? And the guy will start cutting a promo right in front of me, bruv. Like, literally. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, but I just come from my bedroom. But them man, they just licked 50 grand. Yeah, I just come. But you see my marks over there? Yeah, man. Yeah, but we on anyway. Like. The fuck?
It's the truth, yeah.
What just happened? Like, what was that? Did you get upset? Like, I don't know what that.
Full promo.
You good though, yeah? Like, what was all of that? Do you get what I mean? It's like literally, and you think like, oh, okay, cool. So, like I say, like when guys turn it on for a camera or whatever, that's cool. But I'm seeing some real mental health issues. Like, man are just cutting promos in the streets for no reason. Just for no reason. Just man just bump into you and just feel the need to start telling you about all sorts of stuff that you didn't ask them about. It's like, I just wanted to know you was all right. That's all. It's corona and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's you good. That was it. Literally ain't seen you in years. That was all.
And that's that same of trying to prove to each other within seconds that I'm doing all right.
I gotta show you everything. Not just I'm all right. Not just I'm all right. I'm sick. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not just all right. Because if I was just saying I was all right, I could have just like press the alarm back. You know them little sly flashes, like press the alarm back on the car or whatever, or or look back or do the little. You know, everybody does their own little foolishness. You know what I mean? The henchmen do their own little thing, like where they pretend like they're scratching the back of their head so to show you their bicep and all that. Like.
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, every man's got his little rollie who start just sniffing. All of a sudden he's sniffing. He's like, yeah, so.
Trying to let the sleeve.
No, the sleeve's always gonna. That's why he done it 3 times so the sleeve can go down. Do you get what I'm saying? Come on, bro. So everybody does their own little thing in their own little way. So respect to you, but we're not even saying don't do that. What I'm saying is when you cut the promo, do you get what I mean? Because you divulged so much information in that 30 seconds. I'm taken aback, bruv. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's only a crazy man at the bus stop that does shit like that, bruv. Do you get what I'm saying? No one just comes up to you, you know what I mean? And in 30 seconds, you know their whole life story and what's going on for them right this second. Like, you're just thinking, raw, like, bro, that's a lot of stuff you just told me, but thanks anyway. Yeah, and cocaine's one hell of a drug.
So in terms of codes, like, do you feel like codes have been left to be restructured, or like that? Where's the space to restructure the codes? Do you feel like we're living off of expired codes because maybe the codes worked at one time?
Do you know what? I think codes were useful at one time. Do you get what I mean?
Definitely.
It kept that illusion of there was some kind of order on the streets.
Yeah.
Do you get me? It kept that illusion of some kind of like hierarchy or.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? You know, and I suppose it did help because I suppose it did do a lot in that sense.
Yeah.
But once that illusion was broken, do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Which kind of goes back to the snitching and all the rest of it. But once that illusion was broken, you get what I'm saying? Then there is no codes.
It's just as you said, cocaine head of drugs. Do you feel like it was the drug era that messed up the codes? Because the drug era is that kind of fucked up a lot of things when it came to the community.
You know what? Yes and no. So yes, but then a lot of people could say it's the violence. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know? So some people say they go hand in hand. Some people will say that because of the drugs comes the violence. Just depends, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? But generally speaking, I would say more so the violence probably.
That's the violence,
Yeah, more so the violence. You get what I mean?
The drugs did make the violence go plummet in every place.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, definitely,
You know what I mean? Whether
definitely.
it was the selling or taking of it.
Yeah, but again, like I say, the drugs is one thing, but the violence, like once the violence comes in, you've seen that.
Like street code was once community code, didn't it?
Yeah, like I said, to a degree, but once the criminality comes into it, then it's different because now we're talking about codes that you expect people to keep when their life's on the line.
Let's say for something like Black Panthers, yeah. And the Black Panthers, they would have tried to paint them to be doing crimes or whatever you want to say, yeah. And maybe, and if you're an oppressed people, you're gonna have to do a certain level of crime just to survive in certain situations, because that's what's kind of been given to them. You know what I mean? Even how their whole projects, quote unquote, have been structured. So when it was, like I say to you, before the drugs kicked in, and these are communities that was pulling together to make things work. Like there was the Black Wall Streets and things like that were able to be achieved before the drugs. Do you know what I mean? So when the drugs came in, it's like there's no more. There's not even a team of people that, you know what I'm saying, that's been able to in these areas that could be impactful as much as them days as well. Because it's not now, you couldn't even be impactful as a Black Panther because so much people are against each other. We're killing each other in a higher rate.
I think
us.
with that it goes back to a wider thing though, a wider kind of topic, because remember we've had this conversation before. Those days are different. You can't compare them because, like I say, there was like a obvious threat.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like an obvious threat. So it's kind of like.
But the other cultures are still able to come together in ways. Like they're still not that. Like I say to you, that the snitching being part of their culture is not part of their culture. Like snitching is so much part of our culture. Whether you're part of the streets or not, you have to think about things like that. Whether you know what I'm saying? Like it's like there's things that are part of the
But
criminality.
again, going back to
what
going back to what you said about being attached to poverty, and your area sometimes being more impactful than the actual household. Do you get what I'm saying? So that would kind of explain that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I'm saying
if you're if you're in all the poor areas,
we sometimes follow the media narratives.
So definitely.
Do you know what I mean? They'll put us out in a bad light, and we'll follow the narrative that they've given us.
Definitely.
It's like, do you know what I mean? And those kind of things weren't happening before. That's why I'm saying, like, in terms of people coming together and making a powerful structure, if they've got us coming at each other more than they even need to come at us themselves, like I say to you, they've made it more popular to making songs about killing each other. So that in itself, we've so accepted killing niggas with it's such a normal thing for us. We've normalized it to the point our brain kind of says, yeah, that's the normal thing. For you to even kill someone out of your culture, that I've been dangerous. Now I'm living on the edge. You know what I'm saying? But killing someone black man's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So once they give you these narratives as well, that it makes it harder for you to again build a structure that can come against anything and change the fact that a lot of criminality, like we discussed, is just inside our culture in general. We shouldn't be looking at our culture like our culture's got too much criminality things in it where we just think of them as natural.
But what I'm saying to you is that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, that's only become attached to it over a period of time. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not embedded in our culture. Do you know what I mean?
No. A lot of criminality things that are embedded in how we look at ourselves and how people look at us.
No. I'd have to disagree. You go back to your granny's time. Your granny's not.
No, but that's what I said. That time's different.
No, but that's in our lifetime.
I'm saying in granny's time, they were still able to achieve great things.
No, but you missed my point. What I'm saying is your gran is in your lifetime.
Yes.
And she never told you to snitch. She never told you don't snitch. Do you get what I'm saying? She wasn't telling you don't snitch. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Your uncle might though.
I'm not talking about your uncle. I'm saying to you, you're talking about our culture.
Yeah.
Our culture. That's what you said.
But our culture.
Let me just finish. You said our culture.
No, because our granny's
but you're missing the point though. Your culture is what you was brought up in. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it then. So I'm saying to you, your granny never told you don't snitch. You know what I'm saying? She wouldn't be saying that. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's not intrinsically attached to our culture. It's not our culture. It's.
I'm just saying through media.
No, but what I'm saying. But this is my point. So it's become I gave you the example of you saying, like, you know, it's attached to poverty, innit, and the poor areas. Yeah. And I'm saying to you that I'm agreeing with you. So I'm saying but if we're constantly in those poor areas, and criminality is constantly in those poor areas, then it's not part of your culture, but it comes aligned with your culture because you're constantly next to it. You're constantly there.
Yeah. So it's part of your culture.
No, it can attach itself to it, but it's not part of your culture because, like I said, where you're from, how you was raised, that's not what you deal with. That's not what it is.
But that's why I say it would.
Do you get what I mean?
I feel like these kind of discussions don't really happen in other cultures because they don't really see it as an issue. Do you know what I mean?
No. They have it. They have it.
The difference of what a snitch is and what it isn't.
No, but again, this is what I'm saying. Like
where it gets the wires are crossed within our culture. People just throw that word all over the place.
No, I think generally they do it in England now anyway. Just generally, not just our culture. But I would agree with you in the fact that our thing, if we're going to talk about criminality, is disjointed. Do you get what I'm saying? Like there is not, and it goes back to my point, which is there ain't no code. Do you get what I'm saying? There ain't no code. Man would like to think there is, but there ain't.
No, there ain't, definitely.
Because it's not applicable across the board.
Yeah.
And once it ain't, then it's not a code.
That's true.
Do you understand what I'm saying? You know, like I said, like, you know, if there's, I don't know, Yokozuna in the room and they having a conversation, they know what their code is. They know the do's and don'ts. They know the handshake. They know everything. They know the tattoos. They know the history of the thing. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's no qualms about what it is and what it ain't. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. Do you get me? Yeah. So if there's 4 men in a room and you say, he done this, even if a man likes you, even if he's the godfather of your kids, he's going to have to look at that thing and say, gone against the code.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Nothing I can do, bro.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas, like I say, we pick and choose when we're going to apply it, when we're not going to apply it, what it's applicable to, what it ain't applicable to. So then it's not a code then, is it?
Yeah. how much the person can benefit you and all these things.
It's not code then, is it?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? You know, you got 4 crime bosses in a room from Sicily or whatever. They know what they're talking about. They know what their thing is. Do you know what I mean? You know, they know the do's and the don'ts.
Even them, the mobsters and all of that, they're all snitched on each other.
But you can call him a snitch because he agreed to not do that.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Definitely.
So it goes back to my point.
If they say I'm a rat, they call themselves.
Yeah, because he knows he went against the code,
Yeah,
the code that he agreed to when he cut his hand with a little bit of the thing and the picture of the whatever Virgin Mary and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So that was the agreement.
Yeah.
You don't do this, you don't do that, you don't rat on your friends, you don't. But
So I said,
that's the code.
Certain places they ain't got no initiation. So when there's no initiation, there is no code. Certain gangs are just made up with just.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, and that's my point. Where I gave you the example of me, you, and Matt just go on the burglary. You just assume he's not going to tell.
Yeah.
You've just assumed that, though. You just assumed that. You don't know he's not going to do that. You didn't have no agreement in place with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have no agreement in place with him. I think about what you're actually talking about. Do you get what I'm saying? When you start throwing it around there and calling this man a snitch and calling that man a snitch, what did you agree with? What code was you lot living by? Do you get what I mean? You know what I mean? Because man say a whole load of stuff and then it's like it's applicable when it's applicable and it's not when it's not.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
That's what I said.
You know?
It's just flimsy.
Man will tell you don't do class A drugs.
Yeah.
But man will be dizzled off his face having a sniff in the toilet, like. But that's all right though, because I only did that once in a while.
You know what I mean?
That was just because I was raving with that chick at that time. So are we doing class A or are we not doing class A? What we doing?
Yeah.
No. You just don't smoke hard food and wear it. You can sniff coke though. Yeah, well, no, it's just a party thing. You know what I mean? Social drugs, it's a social thing. You know what I mean? It's only when I take a bit of dizzle. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. So what is it then? Do we not get high on our own supply, or can we get high on our own supply?
Yeah, streets is whatever for everyone's or whatever.
So you pick and choose.
Pick and choose.
Yeah.
Pick and choose code.
Yeah. So
what
we're saying is there ain't no street code.
No street codes.
Oh, mate. And if you're young, just drop it out, mate.
Yeah.
It's long. It's not even worth it.
It's not.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's quite an easy one today, wasn't it? It was quite an easy one today. Yeah. All right. Nice one. A bit more relaxed. Yeah. Cool. That one's done and dusted. Wrapped up.
Until next week.
Yeah. We out. Nice one.